They said that starting a team in NASCAR was not a worthwhile endeavor, and I took that personally. Welcome back to Motorsport 101.
Very good, RJ, very good. Hi guys, Dre Harrison back at it once again. Welcome to episode 267 of Motorsport 101. I'm your friendly neighbour host, Dre Harrison, as always. We're all tired, so let's get the intros out of the way quick for the second part of this doubleheader. Hello, RJ O'Connell.
My rejected suggestion for the intro would have been contact tracing. There is no substitute.
Oh. That's a sore subject with one of our co-hosts. You could probably guess which one. I'll give you a hint. I didn't watch Le Mans this week.
It could have been any one of the other three of us.
I love how you say this week like we do multiple Le Mans every week.
We can do them on Project Cast 2 anytime we please. Was that person Cam Buckley by any chance?
Buddy, it's okay. You were feeling
It's
gonna be alright.
I'm ready for this year to end and to move on to 2020s.
Oh, the Superleggera version, I see.
Yeah, 2020 Turbo S is coming in a few months. You know what, though? I wish I could perform up to standards this week, but I've been weighed down with about 40 kilograms of ballast. And then I got the Rona.
Jeez, that sounds like everybody's lockdown experiences. They've gained 40 kilograms, and somehow they've caught the Rona.
Yeah, sounds about right.
Speaking of tire fires, hi King, hi Ryan Eric King.
Hello.
I like that you knew exactly where I was referring to when it was reported that, smoke was billowing into Citi Field during a baseball game.
Yes, I knew it was the scrapyard right next to Citi Field.
That's a perfect metaphor for the Mets season, am I right, folks?
Still better off than the Giants right now.
They still have Jacob. It's fine. We just gotta start him like old Ross Hadborn and have him start the next 60 games in a row to make the playoffs. No? That can't work? No? Okay, fair enough. So. This is basically like the cleanup episode this time around, where all the four of us are going to be sitting down and breaking down, World Superbikes at Catalunya, the first ever World Superbike weekend at Catalunya this time around. Why? Because COVID. That's why. So Catalunya, as well as some minuscule sports car race in France somewhere. We'll talk about that for a minute as well.
There is so much sports car news to get to. That really, the race that actually happened is merely a footnote.
Let's put it to you this way. If you've ever been tired of me talking too much on this show, this is the episode for you. It's your lucky day, as far as I'm concerned. And we'll also get into some major news coming out of NASCAR, because its hottest free agent has a new home for 2021, and it's not one you might be thinking of. And that'll be one Bubba Wallace. We'll get into that later on in the show. But basically, you can find us in the meantime. We're on youtube.com/motorsport101. Hi, if you're watching us on there. Subscribe and hit the bell if you want notifications on when we upload new stuff. That's always fun. We're on facebook.com/motorsport101. We're on Twitter at motorsport_101. Our handles are in the description down below, on the screen. And if you're listening via audio, it's at Harrison101HD, at RJ O'Connell, at Ryan Eric King, and at cbuckley917. And if you really like us, you can back us financially on Patreon. Patreon.com/motorsport101. $5 gets you early access to all of our shows, audio and video, while we're catching up. Once we're catching up, the video section will move to the $10 tier, where you can listen to these shows live as they go out if you listen in to the supporters club of our Discord server. So thanks everyone that's tuning in for that as well. Without further ado, what should we do first, fellas? Should we do the Mon first, or should we do the World Superbikes first? I'll let you guys
I would
pick.
say get World Superbike out of the way first, because it's not just Le Mans. We've got so much sports car stuff to talk about.
Yeah, we'll get World Superbikes out of the way. I'll run it through real quick. So, World Superbikes at Catalunya, everybody. Yay! First time at Catalunya. You know, a format of motorsport that is actually good around Catalunya for once. And
Damn
rare. The rare good race at Catalunya.
No, we know MotoGP is good around this track.
It's only good on two wheels.
Agreed. This was actually quite a wild weekend in some ways. Race 1 was actually the relatively calm affair on a Saturday afternoon. Jonathan Rea winning pretty much lights the flag.
You've never heard this story before.
No, never happens. Trust me, the mad stuff comes later. But in the meantime, yes, Jonathan Rea winning race 1 relatively comfortably. Scott Redding had to fight his way through as Michael Ruben Rinaldi fell down the order a little bit there in the interim. But Rea pretty much won at a canter. Redding was second. Chaz Davis third on the second Ducati Panigale. Michael Vandermark was in fourth ahead of Alvaro Bautista in fifth. Toprak in 6th, Rinaldi in 7th, Garrett Gerloff in 8th, who got better as the weekend went on, to say the least. Lowe's, Haslam, Laverty, Jonas Vulgar was back, everybody. Wasn't it nice to see Jonas Vulgar back on a motorcycle again?
That's a name I've not heard in a long time.
Yes, Jonas Vulgar is back. He was wild card in this weekend in World Superbikes. A pleasure to see him back in a World Championship level series where he belongs. He was racing for MGM as a wild card, and he also went semi-viral on Friday after hitting a bird on the main straight. He went full Andrea Iannone in Phillip Island that one time. He hit a bird down the main straight at 180 miles an hour, so that was interesting to keep a look at. Apparently, the bird's request was to be buried next to Gavin at Phillip Island somewhere, and a plate of chips. So, a salute to our bird friend, and rest in peace. Indeed, but great to see Jonas Vulgar back there. He was in 12th, Xavi Flores 13th, Baz and Caricasulo rounding off the points on that one. Only the one DNF, it was Tom Sykes. I think it was a transponder issue for him on that one. Now, all the crazy really started on Sunday morning with the Super Pole race. Have you ever seen those moments, guys, where you see a meme where you see a really awkward shot of something and then you go, the record suddenly scratches and it goes, "Hi, that's me. You're probably wondering how I got in this situation." And that was Alvaro Bautista dangling off the front of his bike through turn 3 in the Super Bowl race when he was fighting for the lead.
He was in the lead. He made the move.
He was in the lead. Yeah, with in a freeway fight at the front with Vandermark and Jonathan Rea. Bautista, as you can probably imagine, came off the worst of it. It never ends. Nasty.
It never. Bautista. If he wasn't so damn crash prone, he would be like top 3 in this field all day, every day. But he just keeps throwing the bike into the drink.
Yeah, it's like just when you think Bautista and Honda as a combination is actually starting to get somewhere, he starts crashing again. It's just, it just keeps happening.
He's been legitimately in the fight for the podium multiple times this year. And then he goes flying into the gravel.
Again, and this one cost him dearly. Thankfully, Ryder was okay, but if you saw the screenshots of World Superbikes Twitter and you saw the photos, Bautista's almost upside down off the front of his bike in some of these shots.
Who was it last year? It was in Moto 2 or Moto 3 that happened at Phillip Island. I'm trying to remember.
I think it was Dominique Agata.
It was
Moto 2. In Phillip Island, where it was the security cameras at the circuit that saw him have this ridiculous high slide. He was basically upside down, hanging off the bike like he's playing trials, like he's playing Trials Fusion. It's just like, what is this?
Pull up the pic, though.
That's some extreme shit.
I'm gonna try and find it real quick. Hang on a minute, just so we might get a live reaction here. I'm sure King might be able to edit this in as well if he finds it at some point. I'm going to try and see if I can find it. The Twitter on has been a bit wacky, to say the least, for World Superbikes in the last couple of days. But I'm going to try and scroll down and see if I can spot it. Where's race 2? That's the race 2 results. I need the Super Pole race, I think. Hang on. I'm getting there. We're warm. There's Bautista walking away. That's not a good sign. You can edit this stuff out later, I'm sure. You could put in like a SpongeBob transition. It's like, yeah, like 300 years later.
Lord.
So much longer they had to sack the old narrator and bring in a new one.
Oh dear, that was funny. Yeah, here it is. I found it. Okay, supporters general for you guys on listening on the Discord. 3, 2, 1.
Oh boy!
Oh.
You know,
Yeah.
I love freestyle motocross. It's my favorite sport at the X Games.
Man, he's really having a bad time at Extreme G. I know it's a
Yeah, that
difficult
wasn't
game, but goddamn.
Yeah, that wasn't a good look. He was trying to get the Superman dive there out of a Charles Fusion, and he couldn't quite get it before he hit the deck. It was quite tragic. Yeah, that kind of summed up Bautista's weekend. And thankfully, yes, in that shot you could see Michael Vandermark and Jonathan Rea. Somehow they were both okay and were able to continue through that. Don't ask me how.
They were okay. Their underwear wasn't.
Yeah.
Especially
there was
that
actually
corner.
another great. There's another great shot of Jonathan Rea in Parc Ferme after that race where Toprak is he and Toprak are good mates, and he looks at Toprak, gives him the this emoji like this close, to describe the situation, and then Jonathan was like, yeah, he's turned it into a caption competition on Twitter, which I thought was quite funny. Somehow they all got through that okay, besides Bautista. Michael Vandermark would go on to win. Vandermark wins for Yamaha. I think that's Yamaha's first win of the year in general.
Yep.
I think the 7th different winner we've had this year already, which is I think it's the 6th different winner actually. But yeah, it's unique winners. More on that in a minute. But Vandermark winning in the end. I don't think Jonathan Rea wanted to chase him down too hard, given that Vandermark isn't really a title threat at the moment. So just take the 20 points in second. He was second. Laurie Spaz was third. So good to have the Bazooka back on the podium for the independent Tenkate team. So that was nice. Chaz Davis fourth. Garrett Gerloff continues his improvement. He was in 5th in the end, ahead of Michael Ruben Rinaldi. Lowe's, Redding down in 8th, which was not good news for him. Sykes in 9th, and Vulgar in the top 10 on the Yamaha as well. So great to see as well for Jonas. So yeah, a wacky race 2 followed by an even wackier race 3. Early rough em ups. We had Bautista didn't even make the start. I think Cam's bike broke down on the sighting lap.
Yep, he had a mechanical issue on the sighting lap, and that was that. As you can see, Honda's 2-wheel contingent is really having a great year.
Great time.
All in on this weekend's 12 hours of Estoril in the FIM Endurance World Championship, where Honda don't suck.
Well, hopefully. There was a lot of rough
ran
and
the
tumble.
field through a table at Le Mans.
Oh, they did. That's probably
the other Le Mans.
I just missed the 8 hours of Suzuka, damn it!
Same.
Yeah. Same. Yeah, we all
Bucket
do.
list race.
Dear. Yeah, we had a very feisty leading group of 8 at the front. We had Vandermark take the lead from Rinaldi. We had Gerloff, Davis, Redding. Ray was punted back to 6th in the early going, and he didn't really recover all that much, to be honest with you. He took it relatively easy on the end as the Ducatis would end up going to war at the front of the field. Chaz Davis took the lead early on and didn't really look back, so Chaz became the 6th different winner we've had this year in World Superbikes. As he would go over the line. Friend of the show, Chaz Davis. Great to see him back on the top step, ahead of Michael Vandermark, who had a very nice weekend overall. He was in 2nd. And Garrett Gerloff on the podium for the United States of America.
Look, we don't have anything to be proud of our country with right now, so that's something.
We really don't. We didn't have anything out of the MotoGP side of things. Oh, I'm so happy about this.
Yeah, Garrett Gerloff in the end. It seemed that Gerloff was really starting to get the hang of this series all of a sudden, and 8th, 5th, and 3rd as the weekend would go on. Literally got better in front of our very eyes. Only 2.5 seconds off the win. Very nearly beat Vandermark on the same bike for second. So yeah, hell of a job from Garrett Gerloff there. Jonathan Rea would take a pretty comfortable fourth. Again, probably thinking championship in the grand scheme of things. Again, his main rival, Scott Redding, was down in sixth. They had his old teammate, Tom Sykes, in the middle in fifth, which is a good result for the BMW boys, actually.
Well,
fifth and seventh.
Considering that bike has a Bavarian hamster on a wheel in its fairing instead of an engine.
Pretty much. Yeah, and a track with a massive front straight. Fifth and seventh is a pretty good result, all told, for BMW. Sykes fifth, Laverty seventh, Lowe's in eighth, Haslam ninth, Baz 10th, Vulgar 11th, Caricasulo 12th, Zanetti 13th, Takahashi 14th, Chevy Flores last of the finishes in fifth. Paul Miracle, Ruben Rinaldi being in it with 2 laps to go in the end. So a pretty chaotic race, but the championship, well, it's starting to look ominous here again, folks. Jonathan Rea, 51 points in front of Scott.
Come on, Dre. It looked ominous.
Redding kept it interesting for like a couple of rounds.
No, he didn't.
Redding kept it interesting for a little bit.
You know what kept it interesting last year? Someone going so undefeated that we had an embargo against the series on the show. And he still lost the title early.
Folks,
come on, son.
Break out your hoodies. Break out your pumpkin spice. It is Jonathan Rea season with 2 race meetings left in the Superbikes World Championship.
Completely different. He's got a 51-point lead with only 2 weekends left. In case you didn't know already, they race at Magny-Cours on October 4th in 2 weeks' time, and then the season finale at Estoril on October 18th. There's only 4 races, well, technically 6 races left in the championship. Remember, not all of them carry the full point. The Super Bowl race only carries 12. So there's a maximum of 62 points available. So Ray's got a reasonable chance of wrapping it up at 2 weeks' time in Magny-Cours if he can gain another 11 points on Scott Redding
that's
time.
just it.
Redding just
all he needs to do is score 11 over Redding for the rest of the year. That's that's easy. That's easy pickings.
Jonathan will just not make any mistakes, and he'll probably wrap it up by race 2 in Magny-Cours. He's 51 ahead of Scott Redding. Chaz Davis up to third after his strong weekend. He's on 188. Michael Vandermark on 177, now fourth on for Yamaha. Toprak 5th on 157. Alex Lowe's down to 6th. Remember when he led the championship after Phillip Island? Amazing how things change. He's now being outpointed by Jonathan Rea, literally 2-1 exactly. 290 to 145.
Oh god, they made Rea mad. Oh god, oh fuck.
Man, pre-quarantine times were hit different.
Yeah, no kidding. Michael Ruben Rinaldi 7th on 144, and Alvaro Bautista in 8th on 94, Baz on 91, and Haslam on 88. Tying up a couple of loose ends real quick as well. Shout out Jonathan Rea. He actually, after his race 1 victory, he broke out a very special t-shirt. It was a very nice touch. It was the Ana Carrasco Ride Like a Girl t-shirt. Those two are very close friends. Continued best wishes to Ana Carrasco that was shipped out of hospital, thankfully, a couple of days ago. She's back home now to start recuperation on the 2 vertebrae she broke in training. So all the best to Ana Carrasco as always, and a very classy touch from Jonathan to break out one of her t-shirts after this run win. Jonathan looking after the girls, great to see. And also congratulations to Andrea Locatelli, who wrapped up the World Supersport Championship as well. But not without the streak falling.
Ladies and gentlemen, my client, Andy Verdoya, conquered the Loca Takers' undefeated Supersport streak in Catalunya.
Your Honor, my client is simply built different.
The man that was, I think he was a wild card for the weekend because he had barely scored any points all season long, and because of the countback rule in Catalunya and the fact there was a sudden downpour, I think with about 5 laps to go in the first Supersport race, they had to red flag it because they were past 2/3 race distance. It was at steward's discretion whether they wanted to call it. They did call it. And Locatelli's perfect streak ended at 9.
Damn, he hit him with the Justin Haley special.
He
Oh my god.
He did indeed.
Zombie Furniture Row lives on.
Oh dear. But it's unfortunately the streak was over in the end, so Locatelli didn't actually Didn't actually get the perfect season we were all kind of hoping he would, but he did wrap up the championship in race 2. In race 1, Bedoya won over Mahias and Carl Smith. Locatelli was down in 4th because, remember, red flag, 2-lap countback rule kicked into effect. Manfredi was 5th ahead of Odendahl and Gonzalez. And, yeah, that was the end of the streak. But, of course, Locatelli would wrap it up in race 2 and wrap up the championship by winning that one. So, hey, 10 out of 11 is still pretty good. Right?
Yeah, that's still pretty good, but it's not perfect.
Yeah, you're either perfect or you're not me, as a famous abridged character used to say. Locatelli would end up winning, Mahias in 2nd, Philip Oetel, remember him, in 3rd, ahead of Rafael Di Rosa 4th, and Odendahl 5th in race 2. So congrats to Andrea Locatelli on wrapping up the World Supersport Championship in the most dominant fashion imaginable. He's probably going to be in the main series next year. Keep an eye on that. We'll keep you posted for any and all the news. But the streak was over by Andy Bedoya. That's going to be one for the pub quiz out there in motorsport terms. Coming to a pub quiz book near you. Who broke Locatelli's World Supersport streak in 2020? Have fun working that one out. But for those guys that are not fans of me talking, I'm going to shut up now for the next 10-15 minutes because let's break down Le Mans.
Oh, was Great British Bake Off on?
We're like 15 minutes in. Apparently we had Boris Johnson interrupt the Great British Bake Off for 15 minutes to tell us more bullshit about lockdown. So that's fun.
Yeah.
That's a surprise, BJ, no one wants.
Yeah. We're done. Good night, everybody.
Bye.
Oh my goodness me.
King. Since we're all big fans of sports, you know that, like, we've had a bunch of different sports championship curses been broken, whether it's the Red Sox, the Cubs, the city of Cleveland, what have you. But have you ever heard of a sports curse being broken, but not really?
No, I've never heard of a curse being broken, but ... not really.
Because here's the thing, because after 33 years of trying, 33 years of frustration, Toyota Gazoo Racing finally won Le Mans for the first time in 2018. They've now since won 3 in a row, but it feels like the Toyota curse at Le Mans has not ended for just one side of the garage.
Yeah, because the curse has been concentrated onto the number 7 car. The Toyota 7 curse is eternal.
The Toyota 7 curse runs 50 years deep, and it did not leave the garage side of Mike Conway, Kamui Kobayashi, and Jose Maria Lopez, who pretty much led most of the first half of the race.
We should throw some background on this. Look, there's a reason why we didn't do a Le Mans preview. We wanted to.
We're sorry about that.
We wanted to, and then we saw practice and then qualifying and thought, well, yeah.
Look,
the number 7 Toyota put together a pole lap that was okay. And then Kamui Kobayashi decided, now watch this. And was on track for a 3-minute 12, which has never happened. Not in the history of the Circuit de la Sarthe. Not even with the no chicane, no Porsche curve 1971 layout. Where the old record was set by a Porsche 917 Longtail at 3-minute 13.3.
But Cam, I did want to point out, as a Gran Turismo sport player, what's the one thing that we don't like about Le Mans, specifically in that game, and specifically in official online matches?
Well, not just that game. Project Cars 2 can go die in a fire for it. But Le Mans track limits. Track limits, because Le Mans is really just made up of very, very long straights and a couple slow corners. Drivers take liberties. And Kamui Kobayashi took a little bit too much liberty with him out of Tertre Rouge, which, if you don't know the Le Mans layout, is the corner leading onto the Mulsanne Straight.
Is that the new Apple Watch Series 6, Dre?
Oh, God.
I wish it was.
But
Number 7 Toyota probably should have
it.
won this race on pace alone in the first half, but as we all know, it's not the 12 hours of Le Mans because, and I peel this back because I was covering the first half of the race for our friends at Daily Sports Car. I've been assigned the task of doing in-race reports for the first 12 hours of the prototype class. And just as I have finished my last block of reports for the 10th through 12th hour, with the number 7 Toyota of Conway, Kobayashi, and Lopez in a comfortable lead because the number 8 Toyota of Kaz Nakajima, Sebastian Buemi, and Brendan Hartley had some brake issues early in the race. They were leading by a couple laps, and just as I hit the button to submit the email to my deputy editor, Stephen Kilby, and editor-in-chief, Graham Goodwin, Kobayashi reports the turbocharger's going out.
Yep, the right side turbocharger fails out on track. He limps the car in, and the car loses about a half hour to the sister car, number 8, and even gets dropped behind the ever-present Rebellion R13s in their last appearance under Red Rebellion colors.
That's right, because the one of the big announcements going into this race.
More on that later.
Yep.
But the Rebellions were a mess. Toyota were a mess. They just weren't as much of a mess. Because the 7 car pretty much spent the whole race after that with little issues. Obviously, the turbo failure is the big one. Then they got floor damage. Then I believe they were reporting a cracked exhaust manifold, and the car clearly lost a bit of internal combustion engine power. These Kamui Kobayashi cannot catch a goddamn break.
Spare thought from Mike Conway.
Conway as well. Conway, who was phenomenal last year and had that race cruelly taken away by the car being wired incorrectly. And Jose Maria Lopez, who, despite having a lot of growing pains in this class, has morphed into a very good driver.
Yeah, if you've missed it the last couple of years, the number 7 team ran out of fuel and then got a drive-through penalty for exceeding their stint length in 2018. Their car was wired wrong, and they changed just one tire when they changed the wrong tire in 2019. At least,
let's keep going.
One solace.
The number 7 car popped a clutch while leading the race in 2017. The number 7 car burned to the ground in 2014 while leading the race. And the number 7 car in 2012 killed the Delta Wing and then blew an engine. This has been running since Toyota came back in 2012.
If there is one solace in this, at least we don't have to talk about Toyota gaming the system to give Alonso the wins, because nobody's gaming the system to give Brendan Hartley an advantage. Although they probably should, because Brendan Hartley is a very good driver.
Yeah, and that's to take nothing. It's Le Mans. It happens. Yeah. And that's not to take nothing away from Sebastian Buemi, Kazuki Nakajima, and Brendan Hartley.
Who were all rarefied air.
Yep. Brendan Hartley, that's his second win after his win in 2017 in equally absurd circumstances.
Yeah.
Kazuki Nakajima, as you said in your piece for DSC, was once the unluckiest driver at Le Mans. He was in the car in 2016 when that intercooler line failed and it ground to a halt with minutes to spare.
All 3 of these people were chewed up and spit out by the Formula One ladder in 2 years or less.
Yep. And now they are, however you view the current situation at Le Mans and Toyota's current streak at Le Mans.
I'm of the opinion of
three-time winners at Le Mans.
Yeah. That's nothing to
come around every day. No.
Yeah.
That gives you all-time great credentials.
Yeah. Yeah, for all the detractors about Buemi and Nakajima's and what accomplishes which, well, maybe if a major manufacturer was going to cheat emissions, they shouldn't have been sloppy enough to get caught.
Yep.
Number 8 Toyota.
But even then, I mean, LMP1, it wouldn't be a proper LMP1 send-off without the class melting down a little bit, now would it? because as it stands...
I have no energy to punch down on buy calls. Having a rear wing
No, let's punch down on all of them together.
No.
In solidarity. The 8 car had the brake failure early on.
Yeah.
And then was leaking oil for most of the race, was smoking, but didn't amount to anything. The number 1 Rebellion, which finished second, had all manner of problems in the pits, out on track, and Rebellion were very marginal this year, and that meant that they were on the edge of brake failure for the last couple of hours of the race on both that car and the number 3 car.
It's the funniest thing, because Bruno Senna has the fastest outright lap of the race, but just over a single lap.
In the first year, in the first stint, Rebellion could hold the Toyotas in sight. They were actually matching them on pace. But once you get into traffic, the ability to dump near as enough 400 horsepower into the front axle and play around through traffic, well, that becomes an insurmountable advantage for Toyota. You can't beat that. That's what was so amazing about the LMP1 hybrids, is that you can just cut through traffic almost effortlessly.
Those 2 cars wanted Louis Delatraz to do the virtual real-life double, and it didn't happen.
Yeah. In fact, on average, Louis Delatraz was ungood.
Sebastian Buemi, not so much. Sebastian Buemi was very good.
He was. And Baikal as well. Yeah.
You don't want to have a rear wing fail in one of the fastest corners of the track. It's amazing.
The car was a safety hazard.
It's amazing that Bruno Spengler was even able to drive the car back, but that's the 9th time in 11 years of entering this race that they haven't finished. And
the CLM, the car that they use, the CLM, is 0 of 6 finishing this race. And if we're being completely honest, if I'm being completely honest, Baikalas were a safety hazard this week. The car was falling apart. They could barely pull away from LMP2s. They were shit slow in the Porsche curves, anything that required downforce. And as RJ alluded to, the rear wing fell off through a fast corner. That's unacceptable. At this level, that's fucking unacceptable.
Mm-hmm.
And they committed to hypercar, so good luck.
I
think that's
enough
enough
before it gets worse. LMP2 was probably the class of the race. A lot of stuff happened. And in the end, we get to talk about Sky Sports F1 commentator Paul di Resta, finishing ahead of Sky Sports F1 commentator Anthony Davidson. with a team led by Zach Brown of McLaren, winning the class, Philip Hansen, Felipe Albuquerque, and Paul di Resta from pole position, winning ahead of the number 38 Jonas Sport car of Anthony Davidson, Antonio Felix da Costa, your reigning, defending, undisputed Formula E champion of the world, and former champ car journeyman Roberto Gonzalez.
Remember that whole thing about how when F2 cars fall apart, we dunk on them for falling apart in a spec series?
It seemed like every car had an electrical failure of some kind.
All Oricas. Orica had a mixed weekend where they clearly had... The Orica 07 is just unstoppable at this point. There was only 4 non-Orica 07s in the race, but it had multiple electrical issues. We had the number 36 Alpine, and more on them later.
Your pick to win suffered a water leak.
My pick to win suffered a water leak on lap 1.
It's amazing that they came back to 4th.
They came back to 4th. I'd argue they had the race of the P2 category. They were so fast.
It's either them or IDEX Sports number 28 car coming from 2 laps down after their car was written off in practice.
Yeah, they were in a race against time. They actually didn't win that race because they, as you said, they started about 6 or 7 minutes after the race itself started.
Yeah.
And the 37 car. The 37 Jackie
This was
Chan
my
DC.
favorite. I described this as a dip into the theater of the absurd because they were disqualified well before we finished the race because driver Gabriel Aubry, when his car shut down, phoned a member of his team, and that team member handed him a part, which is a big no-no in the rule books.
Do you know what that part was, RJ?
I did not know what this part is. Could you enlighten me, Cameron?
Well, for background, this car was leading LMP2.
Yeah.
They were car. In a great duel with the 22 car that ended up winning. The alternator failed, and so the mechanic ran out and gave him a battery.
Oh, man.
And that, if you don't know the rules at Le Mans, if you receive outside assistance beyond just, having your car towed out of a gravel trap, come back next year, you're gone. Done. Goodbye. You're disqualified.
So that's an automatic disqualification.
Yes, it is. All outside assistance beyond being towed out of a gravel trap. If a marshal even touches your car with any amount of work being done to it, even if just removing the engine cover, you're gone. You're done. Goodbye.
That's why, if you remember back in 2012, Nissan driver Satoshi Motoyama trying to fix the Delta Wing damn near by himself was so warmly remembered.
Yeah, because that was... And the same thing with the Toyota number 9 in 2017, which, of course, died about 100 meters to the pit lane. If you're close to the pit lane, you got to do everything you can to try and get it back. And unfortunately, the 37 car was a long way from home, about halfway around the lap.
Couple other notes from LMP2. Richard Mille Racing Team, Tatiana Calderon, Sofia Florsch, and Beitske Visser, last-minute substitute for Kathleen Legg, finishing 9th in class. We'd love to see that. For fans of the Juan Pablo Montoya's Triple Crown Chase, did not go so well. They had misfiring issues all day and retired halfway through. This was all the best entertainment. Oh, and John Eric Verne's G-Drive racing car melted down in the last hour.
Yep. G-Drive, who are usually main features at this event.
Yeah.
For better and for worse, don't cheat, guys.
Yeah.
If
you're gonna cheat,
they were very fast
to get caught. They were fast, but they just couldn't last.
Yeah. And now we get to GTE-Pro.
So, King, Aston Martin winning both GTE classes. Aston Martin racing in GT-Pro, TF Sport and GT Am. Gotta say, this is looking very good for their Formula One prospects to get more wins on the board before they come in with all that factory force.
It seems like the competition is just a little bit stiffer in Formula One.
Just a little bit.
Well, King, in Formula One, they don't lump superior cars with 40 kilograms of ballast.
Oh, man.
So, Dre, it seems like every year in GT Pro, just to lay this out, it seems like they look at the results in qualifying and then decide, okay.
They didn't change them after qualifying this year.
Okay.
There were no changes. But
but it does seem to be a trend where sometimes they're just like, okay, the fastest car in qualifying, we have to slow it down to make it the slowest car in the race. That's competition. Didn't happen here, just for the record.
Didn't happen here, but Jimmy Bruni, who's still got it, put together a lap of the gods for the number 91 Porsche. The RSR's painted in a special paint scheme, which was
throwing it all the way back to June of this year.
Yeah, it was supposed to be a tribute to the 1970 win. Of course, 50 years since Porsche's first overall win. It was okay.
No, it's a tribute to their virtual Le Mans car.
Sure.
That's the story. I'm sticking to it.
The pole did not last because in the race, the Porsches were just completely outmatched in a straight line. They couldn't do anything.
It's just bad. And it's only going to get worse if you're a Porsche loyalist.
More on that later. I'm going to go screaming into the night. But the number 91 just crashed through the field. They couldn't do anything with the cars around them. They had 40 kilos extra weight against the Aston Martins.
40 kilograms. That's a small child.
Yeah, and they were okay in the corners because the 911 RSR seems to take corners with reckless abandon, but they couldn't accelerate. They had no top speed. They were having trouble cracking 180 miles per hour. And
the Fiasar of GT cars.
Yeah, and they weren't good enough in the corners to compensate. Add on top of that power steering issues with both cars and electrical issues for the number 91, and It was a race to forget for Porsche, only they can't forget it for a while. More on that later. Instead, it ended up as a battle between Aston Martin and Ferrari.
Which is a preview to 2021, maybe. Although, to be fair, I don't know if struggling Italian minnows Ferrari are going to have the resource to take the fight to Aston Martin, whose F1 history is so rich and storied. Please do not look up Aston Martin's F1 history as an independent constructor.
Oh, God. And the race was pretty close for a while until, and this has come up in the past with Le Mans reviews, the safety car rules.
All aboard the safety car train. Oh, shit, wrong train! I'm on the wrong train!
I should be on the other train.
Yeah. For those who don't know about the Le Mans safety car rules, at Le Mans, the track is so big that you get 3 safety cars. Well, instead of letting cars out of the pits to catch up to a safety car queue, they hold you and wait for the next safety car queue to come. I just see Dre's face in pure bewilderment.
Why?
It's basically like waiting for a train if you live in a city that has, public transportation.
Yes, because by their logic, it's safer to have a car wait for a line to catch them and for them to just get on the back of that line instead of them going out onto the Circuit de la Sarthe at what could be full racing speed to catch a safety car line.
Yeah, but isn't that what the radio is for, where you can warn people, hey, there's a car stopped here? Or even better yet, what we saw plenty during this race was slow zones. Just leave the slow zone intact. We have provisions for this.
Yeah, we have the technology.
We can rebuild
stronger.
And it meant that the number, I believe it was the number 51 Ferrari, ended up trapped. When this happens at Le Mans, you lose about a minute and a half.
Yeah, the final margin of victory was like a minute 33.
Yeah, once that happens, your race is pretty much done. This has been a problem since 2010, when the first safety car under these regulations, when Nigel Mansell crashed his LMP1s, trapped the Audis about a minute and a half down the road from the Peugeots.
I remember when Nigel Mansell was racing at Le Mans. Y'all remember when Nigel Mansell was clean shaven?
With his kids that one time. So, I don't understand why this rule is still in place, and it dismantled what was a very good scrap between the lead Aston Martins and the lead Ferrari. And this has happened. It happened last year, which gave Ferrari a huge advantage. I can name a dozen examples for the last 10 years.
The optimism is coming. I can assure you that the optimism is coming. But in the end, it's Maxime Martin, Alexander Lynn. We love Alex Lynn on the show. And Harry Tinknell winning for Aston Martin Racing in the Pro Class. Sally Yolich, Charlie Eastwood, and Johnny Adam winning for Japan's favorite non-Japanese amateur sports car team, TF Sport.
As a correction, Adam Johnson has renamed them the Fuck Sport. And
this is why we don't take Adam Johnson seriously on the show anymore. What is wrong with you people? Who let him back in?
Yeah, this race got so boring at one point that they talked about remaking Driven.
I saw this on Twitter. I was summoned to the Discord during Le Mans weekend to say, oh, they're planning a plot, and that immediately summoned me in all of my wrath. The fuck's wrong with you people? All of you. Yeah. You're all accountable for this. Every last one of you but me.
But GTE-Am was pretty good.
It was fine. I enjoyed it.
That was probably, in the later stage of the race, probably the most exciting because you had second, third, and fourth basically front to back the last hour of the race. Including the Fresh Maker, the Mentos Livery 911.
Driven by Egidio Perfetti, the heir to the company that makes Mentos itself.
The Fresh Maker himself competing at Le Mans.
The Fresh Maker.
Yeah. So the story of how TF Sport became Japan's favorite team. Before I wrap this portion of it up, 2018 Fuji 6 Hours. Some fan took a picture of, I want to say this was their driver at the time, Johnny Adam, who was part of this crew, and with their iPad, they superimposed an anime girl into the picture. which has now since led to TF Sport becoming the Japanese otaku community / race car community's favorite team that's not based in Japan. You absolutely love to see it.
Oh my god. But yeah, that will just about do it for the race itself at Le Mans. Overall, it was better than I thought it was going to be.
Yeah.
But it still wasn't that great.
Yeah. If you want more like in-depth analysis, I would go check out This Week in Sports Cars. I would check out the Midweek Motorsport. You may not get it here, unfortunately, but we do have optimism for the future, Cam, because not one, but 2 French OEMs are coming in the next 2 years. I'm excited.
Yep, we've got a lot to talk about on both sides of the aisle as far as sports car prototypes are concerned. Alpine graduating up to LMP1 and taking over the running of the Rebellion R13s, which of course are an Orica 07, but more.
King, does the blueberry pie bat extend to here?
Yes, it does.
Only at Le Mans.
For Le Mans. Okay.
No. I want it to be any time. I want RJ to take a pie to the face. Like, why do you want to make it harder for him for this to happen?
Hey, if you win the 1,000 kilometers of Bahrain, that should not count.
What if they enter in the 1,006 kilometers of Palanga?
We're not ready for this.
Yeah,
You people are so counterproductive. I hate it. What is wrong with you people?
Why'd you invite us here on the show then?
It's
a great question.
if Alpine enter and win Palanga, I will bake my own blueberry pie and throw it in my own.
You heard it here first.
I'm holding you to that. I am holding you to that.
So details of the program, it will be a single car effort. As far as we know, it's only for 1 year. And then they will evaluate a hypercar or LMDH entry.
Ooh.
Bet on hypercar because, well, Alpine doesn't exist in the United States.
But they should.
They should. I like the A110. Fernando Alonso's new company car, when clearly it should be the Espace F1. But, yeah, they will be running the Rebellions as they are now. They will be developing them, and they will be BOP'd down to Le Mans hypercar standards.
Yeah.
Because, as it stands, an LMP1 will blow the fucking doors off where these hypercars are projected to be.
Yeah, 2021 is going to be a weird year, and we're here for it.
The first time I was on this show, I actually had a big rant about how the fuck are you going to balance all these cars together? Well,
buddy, only one way to find out.
Yep, and in fact, one Mr. Pascal Vasselon, the technical director for Toyota, had a little bit of a fit in the media about this because, well, how can you come in with a year-old car after we'd have spent all this money and compete with us? To which I say, and he said, well, where's the incentive to enter a Le Mans hypercar? To which I say, the only LMP1 that anyone's going to grandfather in is the R13. SMP ain't doing it.
Yeah.
And Ginetta didn't even bother to show up because, in the words of the owner of those cars, I do things... what was the quote, RJ?
I do things that either make me happy or make me money, and right now LMP1 does neither of them.
Yeah.
There you go.
And it's not like the manufacturers of the previous factory LMP1s are going to sell their LMP1s for people to run them as private entry.
Nope.
Damn it, I wish.
Nope, because Penske went up to Audi and requested that they get the 2017 R18 that never was. And Audi said no.
Don't cheat on your emissions test.
Don't. The and the Alpine, I mean, Alpine's got a shot here. The hypercars aren't going to be proven. Toyota melted down enough this year to say that they are vulnerable.
Yeah.
And I'm sorry, but Signatech Alpine is a damn sight more competent of a team than Rebellion are.
Yeah, that's true. They're good in LMP2, and they can get good drivers. Now,
they've got
I
good drivers. They'll actually, I believe they won't be running an LMP2 next year, so I think they'll just plug their drivers in straight from that car to this car.
That would be fun to see. Not as fun as a peppermill maker jumping into sports cars. I've never heard of such a thing.
There's more.
Oh, word?
Noted aerodynamically incompetent automaker Peugeot will be entering the Le Mans hypercar regulations. They're back.
They're back for real this time. We know the divorce was messy last time, but baby, we could change. Can I change my ways? Pro wrestling deep cuts aside, Peugeot commits to hypercar for 2022.
What is this episode?
They revealed their prototype.
They revealed a render. It's not going to look like that. It's too cool to look like that.
It's not. It might look cooler. It might not.
It might. And it's exciting. It's going to be an all-wheel drive combustion engine hybrid under the new regs. Obviously, with Le Mans Hypercar, it has to use a production engine, so we'll see what happens there. And who knows? King, they might bring back your boy.
Forte can finally get that home win.
Simon can finally get that home win, too. What if it's both?
Honestly, well, it was both in 2011, and despite the catastrophic fuck-up of Peugeot in the wind tunnel on the 2011 908, they came second. They came close. That'll just about do it for Le Mans Hypercar. But wait, there is still more.
Oh man, is the GT news just as happy and uplifting as the LMP news?
We're not there yet, and no, it's not.
Oh no!
Because we finally got the finished draft of the LMDH regulations.
And boy, these concept renders look a lot like a Porsche 911 with prototype bits stuck on it.
Yeah, it's like a 911 RSR and a Rebellion R13 had a drunken night together.
It's an Olive Garden.
It's the IMSA. It's the IMSA dream board.
Oh god! But yeah, we have the final regulations. I will try and grab them here because,
yeah,
man, there's a lot of appeal in these.
Yeah, it's going to be an off-the-shelf hybrid system. We know that much. These cars are going to make around 670 to 680 brake horsepower, 1,030 kilograms. Williams Advanced Engineering and Bosch are going to build the off-the-shelf hybrid, which is going to cost a little more than they originally projected, but it's still going to be fairly cost-effective at least.
Yeah, I mean, we have kind of the price projections. And it looks like the hybrid system is going to cost about $300,000. Now, $300,000 for 40 horsepower kind of sucks, but when you can slap a hybrid sticker on the side of the car and say, hey, look, buy our hybrids. These are fast.
Marketing.
There's the marketing value.
Brand activation, of which a dozen different companies are interested, including your boys.
Yeah, Porsche effectively announced that they're going to be joining, which, yes! Let's fucking go! Hopefully everyone doesn't come down with a certain Mexican beer. More on that later. But them, Acura, we know, are interested. Audi and Lamborghini, also the Volkswagen Group, are interested. Cadillac, Mazda, Hyundai, Lexus. There's a lot of interest here.
Yeah. It's almost like it should be the global standard.
Well, funny you mention that, because as it stands right now, it looks like these cars are going to be able to run in WEC and IMSA, and ditto for the hypercars.
Friends.
They're finally working together properly. And it's exciting because, obviously, sports car racing, prototype sports car racing, has been very unhealthy for the last 3 years.
Yeah.
To get this much interest on a global scale from this many manufacturers is a big deal.
I would hope most of them do ultimately decide to commit. That would be really, really awesome.
Yeah. And we'll know soon enough. I just hope they look a little better than some of those renders.
Yeah, because that 911 prototype looks weird because it's just so awkwardly long.
It looks like the old Fab Car Daytona prototype, and that's not a compliment.
It's like, what if we made a 911 into a Corgi?
It's like that. It's like this old Japanese. It's like this old Japanese PS1 game where you could just modify any car in the game and turn it into a Group C prototype.
Lonk.
We're talking everything from a Volkswagen Beetle. Get your Porsche jokes in, folks. To like a fucking bus.
Clarkson.
Oh Lord. But I think we're kicking the can down the road too much.
Yeah,
What's next up?
That's just all established. We'll have more news in the coming months about actual participation.
Now for the first part of Monday evening's news whiplash. Everybody that was contracted at Porsche as factory driver and race at Le Mans sitting out their commitments for this coming week because at least 3 people caught coronavirus.
At least 3 drivers and a couple of the engineers. Fuck!
I mean, there's not, like, any important commitments this upcoming weekend, right? We just came off a massive 24-hour race. It's like, of course, we're going to take the next weekend off, recuperate, right?
Yeah, about that. There's this race in Germany in a forest around a really big track, and
is that the 2 hours of Deep Forest Raceway?
No, actually, I was thinking more like the 24 hours of Nürburgring, where Porsche has a quite large presence.
Yeah,
including multiple factory-supported cars with multiple factory-supported drivers, and a car run by the team who happens to run the WEC program.
That have since pulled out because of all these withdrawals. So Cam, you're thinking there's no hope for Porsche left. But wait, hold on. As it turns out, when old factory drivers are pulled away from frontline duty, they don't go away forever. They just become semi-active brand ambassadors that still occasionally drive for, I don't know, emergency situations like this.
Yes,
just spitballing
break
here.
glass in case of emergency.
I don't know, maybe
break
one
glass
of them...
in case of COVID. And talk about falling upwards in the world.
They have the guy with the overall lap record in the 919 Evo.
So for KCMG, the Manti 911, the Grello car, is out entirely because, well, Manti run the operation, Manti run the WEC operation, they're gone. However, for the KCMG I believe the number 18 car.
It is the 18 car.
It is the 18 car. Well, they broke out the 3 Bs. Earl Bamber, Jörg Bergmeister, and Timo Bernhard. Earl Bamber, noted guy who's won Le Mans and defending IMSA GTLM champion.
NASCAR Xfinity Series driver Earl Bamber, as it turns out.
You're damn right. Jörg Bergmeister, noted bane of Corvette C6Rs and all-around GT legend.
Big tall guy.
And Timo Bernhard, who is, without hyperbole, the greatest driver in the history of the Nürburgring.
He owns the lap record in the 919 Evo. He's won
a bunch of these, and he is, as of right now, the only active driver who is a holder of the Endurance Triple Crown of Daytona, Sebring, and Le Mans.
So Porsche have salvaged something for the Nürburgring. That's this weekend. And while I have an opportunity, I want to say good luck to... Is she a friend of the podcast, Charlie Martin?
Sure.
Well, we're a friend of her.
Yes.
We're a friend of her.
Yes. Driving in a lower class vehicle, but it's good to see as one of, if not the only transgender people in top light professional racing. She'll be driving one of the BMW M40 Cup cars in this weekend's Nürburgring 24 Hours. And here's hoping there will be more opportunities, including the big one at Le Mans sometime down the road for her. That is the extent of my investment, as well as that KCMG Porsche, because they are friends of me and therefore friends of the show.
And further news, because this Porsche situation has further shockwaves, they've had to withdraw entirely from this weekend's Mid-Ohio IMSA round.
Oh yeah, that's happening too.
Yeah, it's almost like piling a bunch of sports car races together in completely different regions that all share drivers. Well, they didn't really plan out anyone actually getting this whole virus.
Well, until we can add 4 more months to the year, this'll have to make do.
I guess it does. Ooh. And, yeah. As well as, I believe the Scuderia Corsa Ferrari has also withdrawn from Mid-Ohio.
Yeah, they were at Le Mans too. They were at Le Mans.
Cooper McNeil is, he's prioritizing his Ferrari Challenge season.
I'm sorry?
Yeah. Don't question it.
Oh.
It's just like, I'm going to prioritize my one-make championship. That's no good.
That's no good at all.
Mixed bag coming into and out of Le Mans. Go check out the highlights if you haven't already. There is one more bit of news, Dre, that has nothing to do with sports cars or bicycles. This is a pretty big deal out of the world of NASCAR, which historically in the year 2020, if we've talked about NASCAR, it has been for either one of 3 reasons. 1, driver takes 3,400-pound stock car to the head in the final few feet of the Daytona 500. 2, driver's career pretty much ends for the moment because they dropped an N-bomb on a stream. 3, a driver's crew member finds a noose meant for them hanging in the stall of their garage.
Oh, God. NASCAR has been the definition of a mixed bag this year.
What do you mean mixed? It's mostly pretty much all been negative. Like,
whoa.
What positives?
It's been swinging between really good and really negative, no real middle ground.
Let's see. The guy who took the stock car to the head lived and is back racing.
Good.
The driver only missed 3 races.
Yeah, the driver who dropped the N-bomb actually got fired for it. 3, thankfully, the noose was there by coincidence more than anything else, thank God. Yeah. And the whole sport rallied around said driver.
Which segues into this news.
I love that King. I had to dig real deep for those positives there, but
they're legitimate positives. But
they are. No, and this is probably another one because Bubba Wallace. There's been a lot of talk about his free agency, his impending free agency. He announced a couple of weeks ago that he was going to be leaving the Richard Petty Motorsports team, but we didn't know what his future plans were going to be as of yet. We found out this morning what those future plans are, and those future plans are. He's going to be driving under a car owned by Denny Hamlin and one Michael Air Jordan. Because, of course, 2020, everybody.
We thought him just replacing Jimmy Johnson was a wild proposition. We
got real scared for a couple days because the rumor was that he was going to go to a team that barely qualifies as a NASCAR Cup team.
Yeah.
Instead, Denny Hamlin, who was already looking to get into the team ownership game, has partnered with basketball legend Michael Jeffrey Jordan.
Bigger than a basketball legend.
Yeah.
The basketball GOAT.
Yeah, and, he's a team owner of an NBA franchise. We'll stop there. He's a team owner of an NBA franchise.
No, can I just say, the worry for this... I'm super happy for Bubba.
I love this for Bubba Wallace.
I love this for Bubba.
Everybody is rallying around him. Like, he's getting attention from Bubba Watson, the golfer. He's getting attention from Lewis Hamilton. He's getting attention from every damn buddy because of this.
Yeah, Gabrielle Union's chipped in. I've seen social media chip in on Instagram. Like, they're commenting on people's posts saying, get out to a race. This is the sort of news story that will transcend NASCAR. It's going to get a lot of pop culture involved, a lot of mainstream culture involved. This is big. This is really, really big.
Also, besides the NBA team owner part, most major sports team owners are billionaires, and Michael Jordan is a multi-billionaire. He's a magnitude richer than every other professional athlete out there, and
he's the big.
And in terms of net worth, he is the wealthiest team owner in motorsports now.
Because people like Dre and I keep buying his shoddily put together shoes.
I know, it's a terrible habit. We really must get out of it sometime. But now we must buy more to support Bubba Wallace's NASCAR endeavors.
My only concern is that for all the winning that Michael Jordan did as a player, he has taken nothing but gourmet L's as a team owner.
I don't know.
And for those who don't know, this is not Michael Jordan's first endeavor into racing.
Mm-hmm.
He ran a Superbike team.
He ran a Superbike team. Poorly. The most significant thing that came out of that was a few Motorsport colorway Air Jordans.
Yeah. Still want the Jordan 4 Motorsports, I have to say.
Everyone does.
This is different. This is a sport that he's deeply familiar with. And he's on a national platform where he does not want to be embarrassed. And he has the resources to buy all the help necessary.
And it also helps Kings. It also helps
the Charlotte Hornets not a... Are the Charlotte Hornets not a national team?
So no, the Charlotte Hornets were cursed from the beginning as the Bobcats.
Yes, and
unless circumstances change.
Also, it's different because he played basketball and he was a billionaire competing against other billionaires. Now he's a NASCAR where he's a billionaire facing off against maybe 2 other billionaires and mainly other millionaires.
And
fair.
Look, I think Denny Hamlin's going to be handling a lot of the day-to-day here, and a lot of this is also going to boil.
Yep.
And I think a lot of this is also going to boil down to who they get as crew chief as well, because that's going to be a very big deal as to how this team functions in the long run.
Cole Pern isn't doing anything right now.
That would stop my beating heart. That would be awesome.
That would be big. Yeah, I think the right play here would be Jordan supplies the publicity, sponsorship, and holy shit, it's Michael Jeffrey Jordan, and Denny Hamlin
runs the racing. It's an endless supply of publicity and sponsorship that can roll in off of this, in theory.
So when are we picking up the Bubba Wallace 11s?
Oh, let's do it. Let's do it.
Let's do it.
We're all pitching in for this.
It's very exciting. It's for a guy that's incredibly easy to root for. I mentioned this at the time of his very, very awful noose incident that the sport did rally around him. And if there's one thing I did notice when Bubba was racing immediately after the incident, the amount of black fans that rolled up to NASCAR to support this dude in the short to medium term after this incident happened. So, I think the potential is certainly there to draw a lot of mainstream attention off this. Hey,
because I think a lot of people forget that, the American South is, the home for NASCAR, but people forget about the other part where the American South is black majority. They're more... So, people say, they're, no black NASCAR fans. Statistically, that's impossible.
No, that's plenty.
In fact, Michael Jordan actually, in his statement talking about this, talked about being a NASCAR fan. Talked about growing up going to races.
Yep.
Talked about growing up in what state?
North Carolina.
From North Carolina. It's Michael Jordan.
They told me there was no black NASCAR fans, and I took that personally.
We already did this at the start of the show.
And we can keep doing it.
Just please don't sign any sponsorship deals with any pizza companies based in Salt Lake City.
Or DC Solar.
No.
Ooh. On a related note, Ross Chastain now takes over the number 42 car for Chip Ganassi Racing.
Melon Man's in the league.
Yep. Melon Man's full-time in Cup. Oh, God.
Maybe sometimes Kismet is real for a change.
Still don't know who's going to be in the 48, though.
Well,
we'll wait and see.
Well, we had a scare over the weekend thanks to some asshole with the powers of Photoshop to Photoshop a Lionel Racing. Lionel Racing, and for those who don't know, Lionel Racing has the merchandise deal to make NASCAR diecasts. A webpage showed up over the weekend of Kyle Larson to the 48.
Yep, it had a bunch of yet to be released Lionel diecast that said Larson 2021 Ally, and it didn't have a car number there, but Ally currently sponsor a cup car, Jimmy Johnson's cup car.
Yeah, Lionel Racing quickly debunked this, and if y'all don't remember, Chevrolet cut all ties and want nothing to do with Kyle Larson. Now, King, tell me what cars Hendrick runs.
For as long as we've been alive, they've run Chevrolets.
For as long as they have existed, they have run Chevrolets, and for as long as we exist, they will probably run Chevrolets.
They are bow tie, do or die.
Yeah.
Indeed. Whew, big story. Hope to keep tabs on that one for you soon. I think it's about time we get out of here. This has been the longest run we've done, I think, since coming back, and I was quiet for over half of it. You're all welcome. Places you can find us one more time: youtube.com/motorsport101, or on facebook.com/motorsport101, or on Twitter at motorsport_101. Then you can follow our personal handles in the description on screen right now, or at Harrison101HD, at RJ O'Connell, at Ryan Eric King, and at CBuckley917. And if you'd like to follow us on Patreon, you can. You can back us financially on there. $5 gets you early access to all the audio shows. $10 gets you into the video shows as well as the access to the supporters club of our Discord server, where you can listen to all of us talk about shit live as this goes out. Until next time, I've been Andre Harrison, they've been RJ O'Connell, Ryan King, and Cam Buckley. We'll see you back here next week for more on MotoGP in Catalunya and Formula 1 and the Russian Grand Prix. I know, you're all really excited.
Hey, we could be seeing history.
Yeah, we could be seeing Lewis Hamilton tie the great Michael Schumacher's win record. And hey, if it makes you feel any better before we get out of town, Netflix is following the Mercedes team this weekend. Sayonara.
Later, y'all.
Bye.
If the 18 KCMG car wins the Nürburgring, I'm gonna walk out on the video show with a cigar and a solo cup full of Henny.
And then you're gonna read this translation of Cardi B's WAP, but translated into a Boston accent.